In this video, we will talk about how were influence the people that were living in the Roman Empire, not the Republic, the Roman Empire, okay? There were countries on east side of Rome and west side of Rome. We will talk about the Western civilization, okay? For the provinces like Gaul, Iberia, okay, where's Portugal now, okay? And we will talk about provinces of Eastern, which had more influences by the Greek ancient world, okay? Even if Rome was the capital, they had experience from the ancient world, and it was an influencing zone of commercial. Like of today, we can talk about the Russian influence, the China influence, okay, and the American influence. Those are three different, totally different, okay. But the Greek were really important at the East, okay. But what we want to talk about now, it's to separate them, okay. Let's separate Rome and Greek, okay. Let's separate them. Now we will separate the world with the Roman Empire and America. The separation is in the middle of Atlantic Ocean, okay? But back in the days, it was right in between Greece and Italy of today. So, guess what? Who were the most classical? Who were the most progressive spirits? Okay? Was that the one from the ancient word, from the Greek, or from the new word of the back in the days, which was Rome? Okay, and Italic, they were speaking in Italic languages. That was Latin, okay, which was the Roman languages that would become in the future. But who were the most progressive, you think? The answer is simple. The answer was Rome. Rome was the new world, while the Greece was the ancient world. Okay? So people had to think like that. So how do we create laws? How we live together in a civilization? Okay? And what definitely made like the most revolution that we don't realize today how big that was is the alphabet, the Latin alphabet, okay? The Latin alphabet was so powerful. So because the foreign one was having 21 character, now we know 24, okay? But on a 21 character, okay, they were able to pronounce every word from their Latin language, okay? That was born in Rome. I was born in Italic, okay? Latin. And then it was spread all over the Republic and then the Empire. But the most powerful tool was to recognize a manner to talk with seeing symbolizations that are the Latin alphabet. One more fundamental aspect that the Roman Empire influences our today's world is the language that the Roman were speaking all over their empire. It was Latin, okay? Latin is a Roman language, okay, is also a Latin language. And then many other languages has been created for making the next step of the Spanish, and then French, much more after, many languages after. Okay, it's like it works like a family. A language can have a children, and then they have a children, and then they die, and then they keep living. But Latin is like a dying language, but still important today for many aspects of society. The more important would be the church, okay, and it's also a good way to understand well the differences and the similarity in between the Roman languages. But what made really impress the most in this category is that the Roman language, the Latin language, okay, had the influence of 30% of all the English words. And there's another 30% that comes from the French language, okay? So basically, 60% of the English words come from a Latin root, rather French or rather from Latin. So guess how this little factor combined to the fact that the Britain province Roman was influenced by the Latin network following the Western civilization. Guess how that talks a lot about influence of London. Which side London will take? Will it take the Roman side, their Roman roots, or they will want to take their new voice, their dream of the British Empire, which is now a Commonwealth nation? When are they the best? When they want to conquer the British, or when they work on their island like they did for the Industrial Revolution, when they built many huge boat like Titanic, Britannic, okay? When are they the best? Are they proud of being part of one of the biggest empire of the history, of the modern history? Are they proud of that? Do they know well it? Because there was like a frontier like there is today in between Scotland and England. But what that makes gathering this fact is that English language can be intelligible with many other Roman languages like French, like Spanish, like Portuguese. If you bring to a Portuguese person a text in English and he doesn't know English at all, he will be able to underline some word, superior. He will understand that it means many, bigger, So he won't maybe catch all the text, but he will understand some words, and that makes it really fantastic, phenomenal. It's like a miracle, because English is not intelligible with Norwegian, with Swedish, with what else? Netherlands. It's even really hard to being intelligible with its roots, Germanic. But yes, the way they built the sentence with the WH question makes it really German. We don't want to talk about that. English is definitely a Germanic language, but it's intelligible with the Roman languages. That's awesome. Why? Because of the alphabet, the powerful alphabet that was shared all around the world, and that English took advantage, because when it arrived, it was an old Germanic, Hebraic not Gaelic alphabet, and it was not efficient, really not. Okay? There is right now the factor of identity that is clearly the most distinctive in between the Anglophone world. Okay, let's separate it with the American world and the British world. Okay, which is not really easy to see, but every American have that soul in its soul, okay, that they are proud to be Roman, but not Canadian, not Australian, not New Zealand, not white South African, okay, but American made it like their most powerful hotel of their country, the Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. How crazy is that night, you know? But it would be impossible to see that on Canadian side or Australian side, where they want to make their monarchy, their kings of London, proud of their country, of their identity, but not American. At the end of the Roman Empire, okay, they wanted to preserve the, let's say, the religious interest that they were having big money in Vatican. Okay, Vatican was like a state, independent state, which is still today. It was a country, but this country was part of the, we call it in French, le Saint-Empire Romain Germanique, and in English it's the Holy Empire, which is interesting to know notice the difference. Well, it like that was like to model the Western world with the Germanic people, with the Germanic nation, okay, which was out of the Roman Empire. So that was like the second voice to attach Rome to the Germanic wealthy nation of the Switzerland, of the today's Germany, okay, Austria, okay, northern Italy, okay, maybe Slovenia before, always by sharing the alphabet. And today, obviously, all the Germanic countries and languages took the Latin alphabet. We could say that all the Slavic languages took the alphabet Latin, except for Russian, and that makes quite maybe a friction between the Polish and the Russian, because the Polish are really Catholic, so they adopt the Latin alphabet, but maybe Russian don't like that, you know, because when we, with the intelligence artificial that created by the computers, okay, we will be able to analyze all the languages of the world that use the same alphabet, which is the alphabet Latin, okay, which is the most spread worldwide. Okay, even the Chinese will have to know about the Latin alphabet, okay, when they speak English. Okay, so it's really an international alphabet, and that was one of the most master realization made by the Roman Empire. Okay, and then the language, and then the third would be the laws, the system of laws that they had. The term barbarian did not have a negative connotation, okay? It was simply meaning a resident out of my country, which is like for me, I live in Canada. Like if someone lives somewhere, anywhere in the world except Canada, he is an international citizen. Well, for the Roman Empire, everyone that were out of their empire were barbarian, okay? But the Germanics were the closest from just over the Alps mountain, and they were savage. They were less educated at this moment. They did not have any a good writing communication system. Okay, their language was less refined because they were more north. They had to speak more quickly with the quick sound. But with the Roman Empire, the Holy Empire, okay, that all saved the thing. Okay, that made preserve all the honor of the Roman Empire too. Okay. Now, what is the Freemason Fraternal Organization? According to my researches, it is a secret group that is transferring the knowledge of building all the beautiful cathedrals, churches, okay, basilic, okay, and also the U.S. Capitol, okay, because you gotta remember we are in 1781, 82. The first Constitution of USA is about to be written. They are dealing together all by themselves. They talk about who they want, okay? And of course, they will not listen to the British Constitution, which is a monarch for a monarch, okay? But they have discussion with open mind societies, people from France, from Netherlands, from Western Europe, and they write the perfect constitution of a free democratic new world, equal, with no kings, and everybody will be able to get rich. And the best way for getting rich was with the capitalism introduced by the Dutch for their first company of settlement in South Africa. And with things going on, we can understand that the Western civilization of Roman Empire kept going on with the Holy Empire, le Saint-Empire germanique. By this way, we could see evaluate a progressive, a well-educated, and a wealthy nations with democratic opinions, like the Norwegian had, like the Viking had, like it was the case in Finland, like it is in Sweden, Danish. Those were a highly educated nation, the Icelandic, okay, Germanic too. So we were going to see emerge the progression of the Roman Empire that created the civilization, and then by the Middle Ages, this civilization made it into an interest of democracy, which is the the main the main core objective and goal of today's American Republic, to share to the world how to be a perfectly democratic society in the world, where there's a freedom of speech, there's a freedom of the press, of the newspaper. We can say what we want. We can report the news, and we're not afraid to get killed, like it's the case in some countries, in Eastern Europe or in southern American country. Okay, that I won't name. But all that German, French, Belgium, all these area moved a lot. Many duchies, many kingdoms were popping all around Europe. Switzerland started to be formed well as it is today, and even Italy was all separate by many nations, many Italic speakers of the different languages. Okay, Italian was not unified, yes, yet. French also, it was not. Okay, but the Holy Empire had to be like the shoulder, okay, on the back, the highest part. Okay, it was the Saint Empire Germanique, and because of that, this is where the Freemason are entering in the context. Okay, because you had to create in a past world where it was monarchies. Okay, everyone was poor unless you were in the 2% of the nobles, or in the church, or in the king friends. Okay, but if you were like a citizen, you were poor. You were condemned to be poor all your life, and you wanted to upgrade your status. Okay, your social status. Okay, and one of this way was to be, you could be like a good military, okay, or you could be a Freemason, and building the wonderful Notre-Dame de Paris, le Mont Saint-Michel, la Basilique Saint-Pierre de Rome. Okay, you were building churches, you were building the house of God. Okay, and you gotta refer to the time that today's what we know about, what we could say, let's say, the Silicon Valley in California. Okay, this is where all the artificial intelligence board computers, Apple is there, Google is there. Okay, this is where all the best brains of the world comes to make emerge new technologies. But back in the days, in 111 and 86, let's say, it was the beginning of building the Notre-Dame de Paris. Okay, and there was no wheel. People had to bring their stuff with animals on their back. The invention of the wheel was not arrived yet in Europe. It was in China, but not in Europe. This is when Notre-Dame de Paris was started, its construction. Okay, before 1200. Okay, after Jesus. Okay, but it was like all the smart people were working on how to dress this wonderful Basilique Notre-Dame de Paris. Okay, with the trees of from Europe. Okay, it was grandiose, but you got to realize that people were working hard, and the Freemason that were building the rocks, the stones that were putting with the right angle had knew a lot of things, and they were transferring their knowledge to their kids. Okay, but there were secrets. There were secrets too. Okay, and these Freemasons, fraternal organizations, were not having good relation with the church, with the clerk, okay, with the preach, with the pope. Okay, they were free. They were best. They were the best. They were able to raise their level in their society. Okay, and they got secret from how to build all those beautiful piece of art. Okay, they got secret, and it's like there's a hypothesis to think about. They were Freemason that were mostly set up by the Roman and all the Holy Empire, okay, that emerged in where is Germany today, or they were some monarch, some Freemason that were working for their king, for their monarch. Which side would you take it? Well, that's an interesting question on about how will we build the U.S. Capitol that we know today, which is wonderful, but it's a pure Roman. It's a pure Roman architecture. It's even nicer than Vatican because it's newer. It comes from only 1792, and it took 8 years to build. But which Freemason did they hire? Do you think they hired the Freemason of London, which they just killed the British army with the French, or they would take the links of the most open-minded French thinkers that would gather them to Rome, la Rome antique, pour continuer l'histoire de la Rome antique? Which side would you think they gone? Rome or the British London that want to be a conqueror? Huh? American is also a conqueror. That's in the DNA of the Roman and the American. American conquered the West. They fought over the Mexican, over the Spaniard. They deal with the French, but they would have fight them if they would. Okay, they were English speakers. They killed the French language in New Orleans. Okay, they are free. They are totally free. They fought for freedom, and they're about to touch the Pacific Ocean soon. Okay. So I think the question is clear. It was clear that they were going to take the Freemason that have been loyal to Rome and the Holy Empire, okay, which was different size during 1,000 years, okay, which include some of the Italy of today, Germany, Switzerland, Danish, okay, but they took the Freemason of the Roman, not the one of the monarch of France, King Louis XIV, or the English, King George, or Victoria. No way. They would have taken the one of Rome. And this is how they built the USA Capitol, which is the greatest government seat of the world. Have a good day, And I wish you to think about the seizure that there is in between the that was in between the Greek word and the Western Roman world. Or today we could talk about the the Western American influence, okay, versus the the Roman, the Roman of Rome, okay, which had a problem with its economy recently, maybe with unemployment, for example, or their low values of money, like in Greece. Okay, so let's think about it and think about the classical, which is Rome, or the progressive, the new world, which is the modern way to build it. Is it USA or is it Italy? Thank you.